Hi, I'm Jules Rafter, otherwise known as Jules, the Psychic Love Coach. So I'm actually a certified life and relationship coach with a little bit of a twist. I'm an international psychic medium as well. And I've been helping people for over 20 years find light at the end of the tunnel, find clarity in their relationships, and also find their perfect partner. So join me each week as I share my insights and we talk a little bit about everything. I'm also going to be doing predictions, yes, or readings for singles, for couples who are dating, and also for married couples as well. Stay tuned. Every week rather, I will have a new prediction for these lovely groups of people. So today, I wanted to talk about the importance of leaving our past experiences behind when we're going into new relationships. Now, that's really hard to do because basically, when we're moving on to a new relationship, we all are affected at one point by either a heartache for, we grieve the loss of a relationship, or something really negative has happened in our relationships. And we carry this burden, and we also carry this energy of being wronged. So what happens is that even if we've forgiven or we've moved forward, if we're still holding on to that energy of resentment, or if we're still holding on to this fear that that's going to show up in our lives again, we are going to create exactly the same thing, because our thoughts are energy, and energy creates and manifests things. So if we are continuously being in a place of like, oh, all men are awful, all men are dogs, all men are cheaters, or you've got men on the other side that are saying, oh, women are crazy, none of them are stable. These are things that we put out there because it's been our past experiences. But if we decide consciously, I'm going to let go of that. I'm not holding on to my grudges. I'm not holding on to the perspective that every relationship is going to be crappy. Because if you do that, it's called I'm manifesting crappy relationships consciously. Okay? So be very, very careful of your thoughts. Thoughts are very powerful. It really manifests things. So if we can be in a place of absolute forgiveness. And I'm not saying if anybody who's wronged, you've got to just say love and light and happiness. What I'm saying is that don't let it hold you back. And don't let it hold you back from connecting with the right person who is going to treat you properly. So holding on to anger or bitterness, or even holding on to hurt from the past, really puts us in a place where we're setting a vibration out to the universe that we are still bitter or angry. And it just tells the universe that we're bitter or angry because we know it's going to happen again, and we're going to create it again in our lives. So if you want to change that cycle, if you want to attract in better caliber relationships, you have to let go of the anger, let go of that need for vengeance. You know what? We're always going to have relationships, or we're going to have situations in our lives where someone's going to wrong us, someone's going to disappoint us, they're going to hurt us. Look, we're big people. We know that these things are going to happen. So instead of holding on to that bitterness and these grudges, because they really don't bring you anything except frustration, let go of it. Like literally free yourself. It is so freeing to forgive someone. It doesn't mean you forget. But what it does mean is that, you know what, I didn't forget, but I'm not going to carry this like a burden. I'm not going to carry this like this cross I have to bear because I've been wronged in my life. Look, everybody at some point has been screwed over in a relationship or hurt. It's the way of life. It's the way things happen. But don't let it dent you forever. All right? Don't let it pull you down to that woe is me energy, victim mode, because that doesn't attract anything but people who I call band-aids. And these are partners who need loving, healing, fixing, doing. These are the people that need a lot of help because they're dented. So don't see yourself that way. See yourself as someone who's had growth and has learned from their experiences. And you can learn from experience and say, whoa, I will never deal with another gentleman that gives me those red flags. Or if it's someone else saying, I will never deal with somebody who's married, or I will never deal with somebody who has a girlfriend. So whatever the experience was, or whatever it's happened to you in your relationships, do not let it dent you or put you into this poor me victim mode for the rest of your life. Because what will happen is you will continue to attract in more of these relationships that drive you absolutely nuts. Welcome to the love reading for singles. So once again, today I'm doing love readings for my singles, dating couples, and married couples. Just give you a little energy insight into what's coming for you guys in the next couple of days. So for my lovely singles, we have, honesty. And it says, I can't always expect truth from others, but I can expect it from myself. This is huge. I know in the dating pool, honesty is really hard to come by, especially if you're going online dating. I've heard absolute horror stories, but remember this. If you know the energy that you are putting out into the world, if you are being completely honest about who you are, what you have to offer, your vibration is authentic. You're putting a frequency out that will attract in the same thing, okay? And I know it's difficult when we're trying to find the right person and we want to come across as being the best version of ourselves, especially when we're in the dating pool. Remember, honesty. Honesty is key, all right? Always stick to being completely transparent. It's such a waste of time when people start to get to know each other and they date and then they find out, hold on a minute, you're not who you said you were. You lied to me. You portrayed yourself as someone else. So honesty is key. And if you are honest in your dealings, if you're honest in everything that you do, then you know that you're putting a vibration out to the universe that that's the kind of partner you want to attract. Okay, so if you're doing dodgy things, if you're treating people like they're disposable and you're not being honest, for example, you meet someone, you're dating, you're going on a date, and this person isn't exactly what you want, be honest. You can say to them, look, I had a great time, but I really don't feel like you're my perfect match. I think you're a great person, but be honest. Don't just ghost people or drop them or ignore them and say, yeah, I'll call you back. And then you don't. Because again, this is all comes down to integrity and honesty. If you want to attract in a high caliber partner, if you want to attract in something that is authentic, real, you have to be real. You have to be authentic. Goes both ways. So my next reading is for dating couples. For those couples that have been seeing each other for a little while, they've gotten together, they're in a relationship, and want to know what's coming for this week. So here we are. And cards I have for dating couples today is humor. I choose to focus on the lighter side of life. Now, I know in dating, there's ups and downs, and often it's questions about men and women who are wired very differently and who function very differently. Now, humor is all about looking at things with the light side, looking at things not so seriously, because sometimes the little arguments, the little things that irritate us when we're dating are not that important. So you don't have to harp on all the things that are going wrong. Instead, make light of it. Sit down with your partner and look back at the week or look back at a situation and say, holy crap, wasn't that funny? Wasn't that like a friggin' circus? And, sometimes making light of a situation helps people to let their guard down, be a little bit more vulnerable, and open up the communication. Losing my words here. So yes, when we are in a happy place, when you look at things with, jokingly, it doesn't mean we have to laugh at everything. However, there's some things that aren't worth getting angry about. Humor. Use humor, my dear friends, because that really kind of smooths things over in relationships sometimes, right? And you don't want to be that partner who's always nagging and always looking at things in a really negative way. The more negative we are, the more negative things we attract into our reality and gives us more things to grumble about. So Look at things from the light side. Don't be afraid to have a little humor in your relationships, even if you're dating. I know there's a lot of married couples that once they've been together for a long time, they have all these inside jokes and, these kind of memories. But you can still do the same thing, even if you've been dating for a short time. Don't be afraid to look light on a situation. Hope this helps. So this is the married couples love reading for you lovely people. And let's see what we have to say to you today. All right. Okay, here we are. And what card we have? The growth card. And it says, I want to expand my consciousness and awareness. So this is really about acknowledging the growth that we have as a married couple. We often go through many ups and downs, a lot of life challenges, children, house purchases, car purchases, career changes. There's a lot of things that we go through as a couple. And it's really great. And it creates a lot of intimacy when we sit down with our partner and we look back at these things and look at, wow, look how far we came from the day we got together to today. And it's amazing how much we forget. And it's amazing how many things that, the important little things that we remember that maybe our spouse doesn't. So sitting together and reminiscing about looking at how we've grown, how we've had life experiences, and how we've changed individually and as a couple. Because growth happens no matter whether you're married, single, or even dating. Growth happens continuously. So when we were growing, it's always encouraging to highlight all the great things that we've done, especially when we're a couple, because we're great at finding the things we've done wrong, or we're great at pointing out all the things that irritate us. But what is more important than that is creating a power team. And how do you do that? As a married couple, you look back at, wow, I've changed, you've changed, we've grown. And this is a great thing. So keep celebrating the good times. Keep celebrating these moments where we see like, wow, I've gotten over that trauma. Wow, I don't have this trigger anymore because we communicated and we talked about it. That is growth, and that is creating true intimacy in a couple. I'm Jules Rafter, Psychic Love Coach, and today I'm answering questions from the public. So one of the questions I got is, do our loved ones remember us when they pass over? So when our loved ones cross over onto the other side, one of the worries people have about us here stuck on Earth is that when they pass over, they forget about us. Well, I'm happy to tell you that doesn't happen. They keep their same personality, they keep their same spirit, they just leave the body behind. So they don't forget their loved ones, they don't forget the people that were important to them, their friends. They remain still intact, they're still the same spirit, still the same essence of who they were. They've just lost the outsider casing that was the physical body. So know that they do not forget you. And the fact that you don't always get signs, it doesn't mean that they're not watching over you and that they're not there wanting to make sure that you're okay. It's just that when people pass over to the other side, it's not just floating around aimlessly and waiting for someone to make contact that, that they're still alive and they're still present. But what happens is this. When we really want to get a sign from our loved ones, when we really need some kind of sign from the afterlife, we have to be in a vibration of happiness. We cannot be in a vibration of sadness or grief, because sadness and grief is a really low vibrational energy. And when they pass over into spirit, your spirit vibrates much, much faster than it does here on Earth in a physical body. Okay? So know that if you haven't gotten a sign and you're worried that your grandmother, your mother, your father, anyone that's passed over has forgotten about you, I promise you they will give you signs. So if you ask them specifically, as in, Mom, Give me a sign that you're here. And when we just say, generally give me a sign, it's very difficult for them to just do anything. That could be anything. And usually the signs from spirit are quite subtle. It's not a flashing neon light that's saying. So know this, your loved ones never forget you. They know who you are. They still love you, and even more so once they've passed over into the other side. Hope this helps. Another question that I've been asked is, who meets us on the other side if we don't have family in spirit, or at least family that we know in spirit? So do not worry. When it comes your time, when it's time to check out and you're heading down that tunnel towards the light, believe me, there will always be someone there waiting for you. And you're not going to be floating aimlessly hoping to get to the light somehow. Basically, when it's time to step out of your body, when it's time for spirit to step into the light and go home, if we don't have family in spirit, your spirit guide steps in, and sometimes it's your ancestors. This can be great-great-grandparents, great-great-uncles, aunts, people that you have not known in this lifetime, but they're still blood related and they still love you. So know that we are never going into the light in a state of panic. We never float through by ourselves. There's always someone there to guide us through. And if it isn't family, there are spirit guides. You can also be guided through with angels. Often when it's young children or traumatic circumstances, the transition isn't as easy, so that's why they have someone there every time. Now, when you do pass through to the light, the great thing is it's a party. People are so happy that you've arrived. On the other side, it's a very high vibrating dimension. What does that mean, high vibrating dimension? Well, actually, it means that there is an energy of unconditional love and very high vibration. So no low vibration energies like anger, guilt, hatred, they cannot exist on the other side. So we are in a place of bliss. And this is why people say, oh, it's a party on the other side. It's an absolute fantastic place to be, because it's simply another dimension. And by that, I mean that our spirit that is inside of us goes to the other dimension, and we're really not going through some long travel to some strange out place. We're going to be transitioning to another side, a higher vibration. So I hope that helps. And no, you will never be alone going into the light, no matter what the circumstance. So no, you are always watched over and greeted when you go into the light. So the question was, does everyone have a spirit guide? Well, lucky for us, we all have one. And I mean every one of us, even if we feel like our life is screwed up and we're just along this crazy path. Know that as soon as you're born, as soon as you're brought into this world, you have a spirit guide that is there from the day you're born all the way through till the day you check out, until you pass over back into the other side and go back home, okay? So by the time you come to this world, your spirit guide is there watching you develop as a baby, as a young child. And often as children, we actually see our guides. So it's not out of the norm to see young children playing with imaginary friends. Well, quite often those friends are their guides that they see, or angels or spirits. But it happens so often that young children, usually up till the age of about 5 or 6 years old, can see and hear spirit and their spirit guides. So if you have a toddler, you want to try something really exciting, ask your toddler, do you have a spirit guide? Can you see your spirit guide? And I bet you they'll say, oh yes, mommy. Or do you have a special friend? I'm telling you, I've done this with my children when they were young, and they absolutely blew my mind with what they told me. Okay, so throughout our lives, we have our initial life guide, but then as soon as we go through some difficult phases, or we have challenges that show up in our lives, it can be relationship challenges, career, health, anything, we have other guides that step in. And this is why, for example, when we're going through something big, for example, if you're thinking about throwing yourself into medical career, and it's something you've always wanted to do. So it wouldn't be out of the norm if at some point through your medical studies, you have a guide that steps in that is either a doctor, a surgeon, a shaman, a medicine doctor, a healer. These are all people and guides who were here once on the earth at one time, but have passed over into the light, and they've taken their wisdom, their knowledge, and they use that as a spirit guide to help us through these different parts in our lives. Okay. Another time, spirit guides help us is when we are in, really bad places in our lives. When you're going through depression, you're going through grief, you're going through some really difficult, challenging times. Often that little voice in your head is your spirit guide. Now, know that your spirit guide is always going to be positive, is always going to have loving, kind words to say to you. Your spirit guide is never going to tear you down, is never going to have bad things to say or give you a bad sensation. So know that our spirit guides have our very best interests at heart, and all they want is for us to absolutely thrive on our adventure here on earth. I hope this helps.